Okay, let's dive into this. We look at the universe. It's huge. It's mysterious and seems to play by a set of well-established rules.
Very much, yeah. That's the standard view.
But what if everything we see, everything we've measured and cataloged, is only part of the picture? What if there's a whole other level of reality, totally invisible to us, that's actually dictating everything?
That's precisely the radical idea we're digging into today. It's from source material exploring something called proto-quantum physics.
Proto-quantum physics, okay.
And specifically, the Subpermeable universe expansion theory. It proposes this, well, completely new lens on reality.
Right, so a hidden realm basically pulling the strings. Our mission, then, for this deep dive is to unpack this theory.
Exactly. Understand the building blocks.
Yeah, how it redefines forces, origins, and then wrestle with what it all means. You know, for reality, particles, maybe even star travel.
It's a fascinating concept, definitely. And the core idea, the premise, is actually quite elegant once you wrap your head around it. The theory basically says that for our visible universe to even exist, there has to be this larger, more fundamental, invisible sub-universe.
A sub-universe.
Yeah, a highly ordered one that governs ours.
The source used a really cool analogy, right? The apple one.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Go for it.
It says, think about an apple. The apple itself, sure, it's important.
Yeah.
But arguably, what's more important is everything that isn't the apple.
Right. The context.
Exactly. The air, the space, the light. That's what defines its boundaries, its existence, that everything else.
And that invisible everything else is the subpermeable universe in this theory.
Okay.
And its most basic components, the absolute bedrock, are these things called charged hylogenic ionic proto particles.
Or CHIPPs for short.
CHIPPs, yeah. Much easier.
CHIPPs. I like it. Are these like pre-quarks? Even smaller than we think is fundamental now?
Oh, much smaller, the theory suggests. They're the primordial soup, really.
Okay, so what kinds are there?
It identifies three main types. First, new CAPPs. They're neutral, zero rest mass. They are that background nothingness, the everything else around the apple.
Got it, the neutral framework.
Then you have posi-GPPs, which carry a protopositive charge.
Protopositive, so like potential positive charge.
Sort of, yeah. It's the precursor to the charge we measure. And then nega-GPTs with a proto-negative charge.
Okay, posi and nega.
And interestingly, the source links these nega-GPPs directly to what we're currently struggling with, you know, dark matter and dark energy.
Whoa, okay, so it's proposing an actual identity for dark matter energy.
It is, tied fundamentally to these proto-negative particles.
Right, so we have this huge invisible ocean of mostly neutral new CPPs.
The substrate, yeah.
With these charged posi-GPPs and nega-GPPs kind of popping up within it. How does this unseen realm actually interact with our universe? How does it create what we see?
That brings us to maybe the biggest claim, a new fundamental force.
Another force.
Yeah. The theory introduces Proto Electromagnetism, or PE. It's proposed as the fifth fundamental force of the universe.
Wow. Okay, hold on. A fifth force alongside gravity, EM, strong, weak. That's huge.
It's a massive claim, absolutely.
How does PEM even arise? If the main particles, the new CAPPs, are neutral, where did the force come from?
Right, that's a key point. It's not from inherent charge in the new CIKPs themselves, no. It's generated by their collective stress and interaction within that background field. The source calls this field the reductive ionic force field, or the RIF.
The RIF, okay, so it's like tension in the fabric.
Exactly. Think of it less like tiny magnets and more like pressure building up or tension or vibrations in this primordial field.
So ripples in the everything else.
Precisely. Even though the individual new CIPPs are neutral, their collective arrangement and subtle interactions create different signatures of this PE field.
Signatures like what?
Like a proto-negative force, a proto-positive charge, and a proto-positive flux. It's the collective tension that generates the force.
Okay, different flavors of this PEM force arising from the collective stress.
You got it.
And it's this force, specifically that proto-positive flux, that kicks everything off, that starts creation.
Yes, according to the theory. It triggers this critical event called spontaneous concomitant inversion, SCI.
SCI.
It's also called the micro-implosion theory, or, and I find this intriguing, the Little Bang theory.
Little Bang, not Big Bang.
Little Bang. This is the moment, the theory says, when a new GAPP, under the influence of that PEM flux, basically decays. It transforms energetically.
Into what?
Into one positive CHIPP and two negative CHIPPs.
One positive, two negative, from one neutral.
Correct. That's the SCI event.
The still SCI, this little bang, the theory is saying this is the actual ongoing source of energy, time, and matter.
That's the absolute core redefinition, yes. It's not a single past event.
Not the Big Bang we usually talk about.
It argues that the SCI event is the fundamental continuous process generating the charged particles that then build our universe. It's happening now, a constant sparking.
Okay, wow. That directly challenges the standard Big Bang model. How does the theory deal with that? I mean, the Big Bang explains a lot.
It does, and the source acknowledges that. The Big Bang theory is incredibly successful at explaining things we observe, right? Cosmic expansion, background radiation.
Sure.
But the source argues it doesn't explain its own origin, the singularity, or the unobserved stuff like, what is dark matter, really? Where did it come from?
Right, the before the bang question and the dark stuff problem.
Exactly. And this theory offers a different origin story.
Which is?
It suggests the Big Bang wasn't the birth of everything from absolute nothing.
Okay.
Instead, the Big Bang was an event that was itself birthed by the subpermeable universe.
Birthed by it.
How? Think of it like a critical mass moment. Countless new CHIPPs undergoing SCI, maybe in a concentrated region or time, leading to a huge, rapid expansion of these newly formed charged particles.
Which we then perceive as the Big Bang.
That's the idea. So the universe wasn't born just once. In this view, it's still being born. Particle by particle, moment by moment, through ongoing SCI.
That is a really powerful reframing. And it neatly sidesteps that whole philosophical headache of something from nothing, doesn't it?
It seems to, yeah. It bypasses the singularity problem by saying there was always something there, the subpermeable universe.
The RIF.
The RIFF, full of new GPPs, existing before what we call the Big Bang, holding potential energy under tension. They weren't nothing. They were the neutral framework, just waiting.
Waiting for the right conditions, the PM stress to build up.
Exactly, waiting to trigger those little bangs.
Okay, so SCI creates the charged positive GPPs and negative GPPs. How do these then, get together to form actual particles, atoms, matter?
But they don't just float around alone. They start interacting immediately through their own PM forces.
The forces between the charged GPPs.
Yes. The positive GPPs have what's called a positive attractive force, PAF.
Okay, they pull things.
The negative GPPs have a negative absence force, NAF, which is described kind of like a void seeking to be filled.
An absence force.
Interesting. And then there's a more complex interaction called attractive repellent charge, ARC. So you've got these forces.
RF, ARC.
And they combine with another process called ternary circumfluent ionization, or TCI.
TCI.
Okay.
Lots of acronyms here.
Yes. Yeah. But basically, all these forces and processes working together cause the positive GPPs and negative GPPs to coalesce.
Coalesce meaning stick together.
Essentially, yes, but in a very specific, structured way. First, they form what the theory calls subatomic subparticles, even smaller than protons or electrons.
Subparticles.
Yeah. Then those build up into the subatomic particles we know, protons, neutrons, electrons.
Okay.
And then those form atomic particles, which means atoms, and atoms make matter.
And this whole chain reaction driven by these proto-horses and TCI, it's happening constantly, right now.
That's the proposal,
Yeah.
An ongoing creation process.
This brings us to another key concept you mentioned from the source, bilateral convergence. What's that about? How does it fit in?
Bilateral convergence is described as the fundamental mechanism of interaction, especially how matter forms bonds.
Like atoms sticking together.
Yes, but also, crucially, how our visible matter interacts with the invisible CHIPP framework, the RAF.
The connection between the two realms.
Exactly. It describes any two forces basically occupying the same space and affecting each other, mutually.
Okay.
The dominant force has the bigger effect, obviously, but both are changed by the interaction.
And the source uses that example of G-force in a rocket.
It does. It's a good illustration. When you feel pushed back in your seat.
Yeah.
Under this theory, it's not just your body's inertia. It's an example of bilateral convergence. The rocket's force accelerating your molecules is converging with the force of that underlying new CHIPP framework, the RAFF that your molecules are sitting in.
So my atoms are pushing against the RIFF.
In a way, yes. Your mass and acceleration are dominant, so you move. But the RIFF is still there, providing a kind of resistance or interaction. That's the pressure you feel.
Okay, that connects the invisible to a physical feeling. So we've gone from tiny protoparticles up to matter. Let's zoom out. Way out. Galaxies. Black holes. How does this subpermeable universe idea explain those?
Okay, yeah, this is where it gets really, really different from the standard model.
I'm ready.
It proposes that galaxies aren't just held together by gravity acting on stars and dust.
No.
They're seen as enormous swirling concentrations of CHIPPs, which make up our visible matter, and CHIPPs, which are the dark matter.
So galaxies are giant pools of both kinds of charged CHIPPs.
Essentially, yes, interacting via both PEM forces and gravity.
And the supermassive black holes usually found at the center. What about those?
This completely flips the script. The source calls a black hole a vast magnus.
Vast magnus. Latin for great vessel.
Something like that. And it describes it not just as an object with immense gravity, but as an actual rip or a tear in the fabric of the new CHIPP framework.
A tear in the RF itself. Caused by what?
Caused by the sheer overwhelming concentration of CHIPPs and CHIPPs right there at the center.
So the collected matter and dark matter literally tear the invisible background.
That's the idea. They overpower the neutral CHIPP field and create this disruption, this rip.
Wow. Okay. And the really surprising claim is
that this rip, the vast magnus, is the direct cause of the galaxy forming around it.
Wait, the black hole causes the galaxy, not the other way around.
Exactly. Not the galaxy forming and then collapsing into a black hole. The theory says the concentration of charged CHIPPs creates the rip, and that disruption then causes the surrounding CHIPPs and subsequent matter to coalesce and swirl into it, forming the galaxy.
Like water swirling down a drain. The hole causes the swirl.
That's a perfect analogy for it. The vast magnus is the drain plug, causing the galactic structure.
Mind blown. Okay. That completely reframes galactic formation. The source even gets super specific, right? It suggests a unit for measuring this proto-energy.
It does. The posimere, symbolized by a dagger symbol, an M.
Posimere. And it's defined as
energy of a single CHIPP's proto-positive charge. And they even quantify it. 0.27 octillionth of an electron volt.
0.27 octillionth. That is vanishingly small.
Almost impossible to imagine, right? Infinitesimally tiny on its own.
Yeah.
But the theory stresses you have countless CHIPPs in the subpermeable universe.
Okay.
So cumulatively, the total PM energy available is, well, immense. Fundamentally limitless.
With limitless energy source hidden in the background.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's bring this back down to Earth, or at least to things we experience more directly. Light, for example. How does light travel in this model?
Right. So photons, the particles of light, they don't just zip through empty space.
No.
They travel using the new CHIPP framework, the RFF, as their medium. Like they need it to propagate.
So light is surfing on the new CHIPPs.
Yeah. That's a great way to picture it. Yeah. And the speed of light. That's basically the speed limit for how fast this PM charge, this disturbance, can be transferred from one new CHIPP to the next.
Ah, so the RIFF dictates the universal speed limit, C.
That's the implication. And this also changes how we think about gravitational lensing.
The bending of light around stars and galaxies.
Exactly. The standard view is mass warping spacetime, and light follows the curve.
Right.
This theory says it's not just that, it's also the massive collection of CHIPPs, matter, and CHIPPs, dark matter, in that star or galaxy physically displacing or warping the new CHIPP framework.
So they're pushing the RFF around.
Yes. And since the photons are traveling on the RIFF, their path bends because the medium itself is being bent or pushed aside.
Okay, that makes sense within the theory's logic. Another concrete link between the invisible field and something we observe. What about sound? That seems even weirder. How can sound be related to CHIPPs?
Yeah, that one seems counterintuitive at first. We think of sound as, atoms bumping into each other in the air or in a solid.
Vibrations through matter.
Right. This theory proposes it's also connected to the vibrations of the CHIPPs themselves, that sound waves are essentially ripple effects propagating through the new key IPP framework.
Through the RF.
Through the RFF. And it goes further on a cosmic scale, those huge ripples passing through the fabric of the subpermeable universe. Those are basically what we detect as gravitational waves.
So gravitational waves are just really big sound waves traveling through the RFF.
In essence, yes. It connects the phenomenon of sound, vibration, and gravitational waves at a fundamental level through this CHIPP framework.
The implication then is everything is constantly vibrating at this CHIPP level, even if we don't perceive it.
That seems to be the idea. Everything is interconnected and oscillating within this field.
And the source asks that question. If sound or vibration is this fundamental ripple?
Yeah. Could colossal vibrations, maybe generated by cosmic events, be a key universal force or energy source we just haven't recognized yet?
Because we've been looking at it the wrong way, thinking only about atoms.
Exactly. Maybe vibration itself through the RIFF is more fundamental than we thought.
From cosmic waves down to life.
Yeah.
The most complex thing we know. How does this theory possibly connect to the origin and nature of life?
Okay, so it starts by defining organic life, very basically, as matter that manages to achieve a self-sustaining electrical charge.
Homeostasis.
Essentially, yeah, a stable internal electrical environment. And it proposes that life gets sparked when CHIPPs permeate certain atoms.
Which atoms?
Especially key life elements, carbon, oxygen, hydrogen. This happens through a really intense interaction. Involving all those protoparticle forces we talked about, PF, NAF, air, C, plus the known fundamental forces, all acting together in a specific way.
And this specific process has a suitably grand name, I bet.
It does. Hyperelectrostatic CHIPP thermodynamic amalgamation. HEPTA. The source describes HEPTA as like a supercharged, highly dynamic version of that bilateral convergence we discussed.
The interaction between forces.
Right. It's this complex dance between the CHIPP forces and the atomic structures, creating these delicate, self-regulating electrostatic systems.
Which are living organisms.
That's the idea. Life is viewed as a state of highly organized, persistent proto-electromagnetic activity, a specific pattern within the RIFF.
The theory also mentioned a framework for evolution, from non-life to consciousness.
Pivotal.
Yes, pivotal. Positively ionized, voltaic, organic, transmutative abiogenesis life.
That's a mouthful.
It is.
Okay.
But the framework suggests that the entire sweep of evolution from non-living chemicals to us is driven by these inherent forces and interactions within the subpermeable universe.
Pushing towards complexity.
Pushing towards greater complexity and organization, yes. And it even claims our conscious existence might be fundamentally linked to that constant PEM friction. That interaction keeping our atomic structure stable and charged. That perpetual electrostatic buzz is the physical basis of life and consciousness, according to this view.
So consciousness isn't just brain chemistry, it's tied to this fundamental proto-electromagnetic activity. That's the provocative link it makes.
And it even ties our human curiosity, our drive to understand, back to the CHIPPs within us.
It does. It poses this very speculative but really interesting question.
Go on.
Could our innate thirst for knowledge, why we explore, why we ask questions, could that somehow be driven by the CHIPPs that make up part of our matter?
Driven how?
Like they're inherently pushing towards some state of purest form of self-reliant energy, as the source puts it. Almost like our curiosity is a reflection of a fundamental particle drive.
Wow. Our desire to know the universe might be built into its very protoparticles. That's deep.
It's definitely out there, but it makes you think.
Okay, thinking about our place, our future, exploring the cosmos.
Yeah.
What are the big implications here, especially for space travel?
Well, first it highlights our limitations using this concept called gradual planar relevancy.
Gradual planar relevancy, meaning?
It basically says our human perspective is stuck at our particular scale. We struggle to truly grasp or interact with reality at vastly different scales.
Like the incredibly tiny CHIPPs, or the massive galaxies.
Exactly. We're sort of blind to the physics that dominate those other planes.
We're stuck on our human plane of understanding. Makes sense.
And that's why, the source argues, our current way of getting into space, basically giant controlled explosions pushing rockets.
Chemical rockets.
Is incredibly inefficient. We're just brute forcing our way against this underlying CHPP framework. The RIFF.
Instead of working with it.
Precisely. The theory muses that if we could really understand and then maybe harness the PEA energy that's inherent in the RFF.
The energy that photons use to travel.
Yes. If we could tap into that, we might find totally new ways to move through the universe using the universe's own transport layer.
So instead of pushing against the RFF, we travel with it. Or maybe through it. Like surfing that wave.
Exactly like surfing the RIFF. The source even speculates about traveling like photons, maybe even instantaneous travel, beaming ourselves.
Okay, now that sounds like pure science fiction. Teleportation.
Right, and the source fully acknowledges that. It sounds like Star Trek.
Yeah, but it uses that analogy. Think about microchips, smartphones. 50, 60 years ago, the idea of carrying a supercomputer in your pocket connected to global information, that was pure sci-fi too.
True.
Good point. So the theory suggests that maybe harnessing this invisible ether, the subpermeable universe, is just the next huge leap, like finding the silicon within the RIFF, the key material or principle that unlocks it all.
And understanding this new physics, this proto-quantum physics in the subpermeable universe, that's the absolute first step before any tech.
That's the core argument. It's not about building a slightly better rocket. It's about a fundamental paradigm shift in our understanding of reality itself.
We need to see the invisible first.
We need to comprehend the mechanics of the subpermeable universe. Only then, the theory suggests, can we even begin to innovate technologies that might leverage it, making things like interstellar travel, maybe even that beaming, a theoretical possibility we just haven't figured out how to unlock yet.
So wrapping this deep dive up, we've journeyed through source material proposing this really radical vision. Yeah, quite a trip.
A hidden, governing subpermeable universe made of these tiny CHIPPs. A potential new fundamental force, PEM. A whole new origin story with ongoing little bangs.
And completely different takes on galaxies, black holes, even light and sound.
Right, and even suggesting a proto-physical basis for life, consciousness, and maybe even our own curiosity. It's a theory suggesting that the absolute key to understanding everything we do see lies in understanding the structure and dynamics of what we don't see. The invisible governing the visible.
And it definitely leaves you with an incredible thought to chew on, doesn't it? If everything around us, the stars, the earth, our own bodies, if it's all just an incredibly intricate, constantly vibrating dance of these unseen CHEPPs in this vast invisible ocean of proto-energy, well, how does that change how you see reality? How you see your place in the cosmos? Something to think about. Keep exploring the unseen.